G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Let's go. Am I the a-hole for not having my niece be the flower girl at my wedding? I am bi, hence the name, I am a woman. The person I am engaged to is also a woman. This is relevant because my sister Amanda hates both those things. She and her husband John are both homophobic, so during the process of planning our wedding party for our wedding next May, the idea of having my niece be the flower girl was never even brought up. Instead, we pretty quickly chose my fiancé's little cousin for that role. My sister found out that her daughter isn't going to be the flower girl and is absolutely livid about it. She insisted that my fiancée Jane had forced me to choose her cousin over my niece, that my niece was the obvious choice and I should change it. You may say, why not just have two flower girls? Well, I suggested that as a compromise to Amanda as well, but she hates that idea too. The main issue I have with making my niece the flower girl is that I can't be sure she will even be there. To be honest, I didn't even know until recently if they would even come to the wedding at all. I'm still not sure, honestly. Their tolerance levels fluctuate on who they've been around, and even if they did, I would have assumed they wouldn't want their daughter as a part of it. Who knows if everything will be fine leading up to the wedding, and then the day of, Amanda and John decide to be homophobic. I know I sure don't. Somehow, my sister has gotten my parents on her side, and my mum says I'm being bitter because I wasn't invited to my sister's wedding. I'm pretty sure that's not it, though I was hurt at the time to not be invited. Part of me still is. But I don't think I would try to punish my niece over it, which seems to be what my mum is trying to imply. In the comments, not the a-hole. You were more than gracious by offering to have two flower girls. The fact they demanded their daughter be the only flower girl suggests it's just a power play against your fiancé, pulling one over on her by getting her pick for the flower girl ousted, not a sincere desire for their daughter to be included in your joy. The fact that they don't actually support your marriage, aren't rooting for your success as a couple, and didn't even invite you to their own wedding just affirms that you have no obligation to even invite them to your wedding, let alone change your ceremony to suit them. This is what I was thinking. They don't want niece to be the flower girl, they just don't want fiancé's cousin to be. I'm actually wondering if they want her to be the only flower girl, so if they pull out at the last second, they can throw a wrench in the wedding. It's easier to recover if you have two. Not the a-hole. You offered a compromise by agreeing to have both your niece and your fiancé's cousin as flower girls. It's not as if you're banning your sister and niece from your wedding. Considering how homophobic your sister and brother-in-law are, your parents should be happy that they're even invited to your wedding. Tell your sister to kick rocks if she still tries to push you. From the way you describe your sister, you probably are better off if she doesn't come to your wedding. Also, why is your mom not okay with you having two flower girls? If your mom was supportive of your sister's decision to not invite you to her wedding, then she should also be supportive of the decisions you make regarding your wedding. And OP replies, "Oh, no, sorry, my mom thought the two flower girl option was fine, but she adores my niece." Which is fair, I do too. So I know that her bias has at least some part to do with her siding with my sister. And to be fair, my mum also was upset about me not getting invited to my sister's wedding. Your mum's kinda the butthole here too. Your sister is a vile homophobe, and it sounds like your mum is enabling her by trying to force you to forgive her. What does she have to say about your sister's hateful beliefs? Your mum needs to accept that there are consequences for sister's actions, and that sometimes those consequences will affect her child, because guess what? Being the daughter of a homophobe is going to create a lot of social problems for niece in the future. In any event, I'd be very suspicious of a homophobe trying to use their children to guilt force their way into my wedding. Not the a-hole. But also, why is your homophobic sister even invited to your wedding? You don't need that kind of toxic bullcrap around you for a day of celebration of your love. Gross. I hope she stops being so awful someday. And OP replies, I don't know. I didn't come out until I was 20, and she was my best friend up to that point. Like I said, their tolerance fluctuates. Some days are better. It's been almost 10 years, and I just got used to it, I guess. It helps that no one else in my family is the same way, but I also hope she stops being that way someday. She won't. not the a-hole. She disrespects you and demands respect from you. That's not how it works. Set boundaries and reinforce consequences when she crosses those boundaries. And now, on to the update. Hello everyone. A few years ago I posted this here on Am I the A-hole about my sister making a fuss about my niece not being the flower girl at my wedding. No one has asked for it, but I wanted to share this update anyway because you guys really helped out a lot. So I took a few people's advice about having both my niece and my then fiance's, now wife's, cousin being the flower girl without letting my sister know there would be two. The day of the wedding, and only my sister and niece showed up. Brother-in-law was nowhere to be seen. My sister was a little surprised about the two flower girls, but then surprised me even more by talking about how having two was such a cute idea. My sister was super sweet all through the reception, and I felt like I had my old sister back, which was so nice. We had a chance to talk in a way that we hadn't in years, and spent a little time going over the whole flower girl thing, and my sister was embarrassed and apologized. Without getting too much into things, my sister left my brother-in-law a few months after our wedding, and she confided in me that part of her decision came from seeing how differently my wife interacted with me and our family members when compared to her husband. Basically, ex-brother-in-law was not a good person to my sister. An understatement. And she is so much happier now. She's like she was at the reception, like my old sister, who was full of life and caring and sweet, and an absolute awesome mum. But the biggest reason why I wanted to share this update was because my sister and I have had a lot of long talks since the wedding and the whole flower girl ordeal. All of it stemmed from my ex-brother-in-law and his a-holishness. He did plan on causing a scene by not allowing my sister or my niece to come to the wedding. Apparently, it was like a 3-hour fight before my sister was able to leave for the ceremony. The biggest surprise came when we had a long talk after her divorce started. Me, my sister, and my wife. And my sister kept asking a lot of questions. Most of them centered around us being women who were bi or attracted to women. The next night, my sister came out as bi to the both of us. 3 weeks after that, without knowing our sister came out, our younger brother came out to the family as pan. Anyway, I just wanted to thank everyone for their advice and their kind words. I have my best friend and sister back. I am so very happily married to the most awesome woman in the world, and I get to go with my best friend, my awesome wife, and our super cool pan brother to Pride this year. Things are getting better, and it's okay to give people you love a chance. In the comments, I hope your sister invites you to the next wedding. I wonder if her ex was poisoning her with internalized homophobia, or she thought that it was better to go along with the narrative if he was that much of a problem for her. OP says, that's still an ouch area for us, but 100% because of the influence of the ex for the no invite. I'll probably be maid of honor at the next one. On a serious note, from our discussions afterwards, there was a lot of internalized homophobia that developed when she was first questioning. It got worse over time. I think my own coming out actually triggered it to get worse, and then she met her now ex, and he really did make it exponentially worse because he would feed into those internalized feelings and make her feel worse and worse. And part of her own actions and words were, I'm sure, to play into the narrative that her ex established. It kept the peace at home behind closed doors, and he got into her head so bad she probably started believing it herself at some point. Oof. I don't blame you two for it being an ouch area, but at least she was able to get out of that and her relationship. I wish you two the best of luck. Somewhere there is a very angry little man ranting to anyone who will listen about his evil sister-in-law that stole his wife and turned the whole frickin' family gay. Alex Jones could only imagine. Oh goodness, I can imagine him so vividly. Spittle flying, big old boiled ham face scrunched up with the fury at the thought of the gay agenda at work, turning the whole frickin' world gay. Our next post is titled, After almost 10 years, I found out my daughter is not mine biologically. First off, I haven't used this throwaway account in 6 years. I'm surprised it's still active. Anyway, I got together with my wife about 15 years ago. She came with a pre-made family of a daughter and 2 boys. Then in October of 2012, she got pregnant. We weren't trying to conceive, but we weren't actively trying to prevent it either. The date of conception seemingly matched up, and a beautiful baby girl was born August of 2013. I have been led to believe until this last Saturday that she was 100% mine, and I never questioned it. But over the weekend, I took our youngest son, stepson, but you all know I see him as mine, to a show choir event and met up with an old friend from around the time of my daughter's birth. A friend I met through my wife. This friend and I had a few drinks, and she said she needed to get something off her chest that she has been holding secret for years and told me everything. I was shocked to say the least. The next day I called and confronted my wife, and initially she denied it, but admitted to having sex with the actual father. I hung up on her, and I had 3 hours to drive home with my son, all the while ignoring her calls. When I got home, she then pulled me aside away from the kids and confessed all. This little girl is my world, and I do not have any intention of turning my back on her. It's not her fault that this happened, but her mother now wants me to try to move past her indiscretion and stay together, stating that what we have built since is strong, and I shouldn't tell my daughter about this as the real father had or has no intentions of being a part of her life. I do not think I can forgive her for this. It's too big. I am so angry right now at her and all her friends that knew but kept silent. I can't leave because I don't want her to state that I abandoned my family. I'm afraid that if I do keep this secret from my daughter, that she will one day find out and hate me for it. If I stay, I can't talk to anyone about it. They will be confused and astounded that I stuck around, and it would make me feel like less of a man. I would bottle it up and let it eat me up, and then rage quit my life. In the comments, wow, she cheated, lied, and tried to pass a child off that isn't yours. I would never be able to look at her again. I would be disgusted by her actions. Of course it's not the children's fault, but I'd leave her ass. She successfully passed off another child as his for 10 years. Yup, if he signed the birth certificate, he's on the hook financially. Sounds like a wonderful, caring, and generous man. His concern for his daughter is a testament to his good character. This was unnecessarily hurtful. Wife is lacking in character. So sorry. If his wife is not troublesome, it's not a huge hassle to get off the hook financially. They sign a document. We did it at a courthouse. Cost was minimal, but it doesn't sound like that will matter to him though. He sees the girl as his daughter because he is a better person than his wife is. Some states don't allow that. In my state, there must be another father to take over the rights, otherwise whoever signed the birth certificate, no matter if DNA matches, is on the hook. If you do divorce her, can you go after her for paternity fraud since she knew from the beginning that you weren't the child's father? However, if the dates of when she was conceived were very close, then there is a possibility that you may be the father, but even if you were, it still doesn't change the fact that your wife lied and cheated on you. Has an actual paternity test been done yet? Yeah, I was gonna say, just because she believes this other guy is the dad doesn't mean that he is. But I think your relationship is unsalvageable. I think there are times in which keeping quiet about a one-time infidelity is forgivable. To be clear, I am a boring monogamous type who has never cheated, but anytime you get involved in an ongoing fling and/or questionable paternity, the only moral thing to do is fess up. What else is this woman capable of? I wouldn't stick around. It's too easy for her to tell you to just move past this, since she wasn't the one who got betrayed. You have all the right in the world to divorce her, and this doesn't mean that you have to stay away from these kids' lives. She not only cheated on you, but she hid this from you for 10 years and never pretended to tell you the truth. She cheated on you even though you treated her sons like yours. Just break, man. This woman doesn't deserve you. Back up to the post, we have an update. My son was at his cousin's house for a sleepover after his event. I went out with my aunt and uncle and the friend showed up at the pub that we went to. When my aunt and uncle went home, I stayed to chat more. Update 2. I have a DNA test ordered. My wife is in search of alternative residents. She wants couples therapy. I considered shortly until more came to light. I commented a few times below that she had been sending likely bio-dad updates with school pictures. Also went to see him 5 years ago and took him to lunch. Update 3, not much else to update today. Waiting on DNA test to arrive, bitter house. We'll have more throughout the week as kids will be gone and we can finally have it out with no tiny ears to hear. We'll record audio for everything. Update 4, not much to say yet. Actually spent an evening with welcome company. Test is still en route. I live in a small community with no hospitals that provide DNA testing. Test won't arrive until Wednesday, hope to have results by Friday. And now onto the final update. It's been a while since my last update. I got the results today from the paternity test. 0.0% paternal probability. Initially when I found out from supposed friend, I wanted to go nuclear, ruin lives and the like. But after sitting and giving myself time to cool off, I decided that would only hurt the kids. I still see her as my daughter, but now I have much deeper waters to tread and how and when to talk to her about it. Wife and I will be divorcing peacefully. I won't give up my rights to sue either her or bio-dad. Wife did find my last post and spiraled down a rabbit hole reading the comments. Was interesting to see her reactions to the variety of thoughts that you guys shared about her. Now it's time to move forward. In the comments, I know it's not good, but the thought of the ex-wife reading all of the comments gives me a sense of schadenfreude. Now that you say schadenfreude, what is the English word for it? Not an official definition, but I understand it to mean the joy you feel when seeing someone fall, especially if you think they've been naughty. Any person who fails to tell their spouse of the true paternity of their child is an evil person. There are no ifs, buts, or maybes in this. They are just deep down a truly vile and selfish individual who cares nothing about their partner nor their child. They are the sort of person who, if they ever mention the word love or commitment, everyone in the immediate vicinity should be allowed to laugh hysterically at the entrenched irony. I'm glad that you are divorcing her, and I'm glad that you're still going to be in your daughter's life, because at the end of the day, you've been raising her, you've been feeding her, and as far as I can see, that's your daughter. Now, as far as her mother, she better get to talking and talking good, because she better get a whole lot of karma. In my opinion, and it isn't a nice one, your wife is evil and a piece of crap. Such a traumatic and cunning lie to not confess to you, make you believe that you were a dad for 10 years. You play the role of a father, and that kid sure as hell is attached to you. But holy crap, that is one evil scheme by your wife. Lamau? She wanted to stay when she was still in contact with the father, and bio father knew the kid was his and was receiving updates? Nope. Wouldn't be surprised if she was still cheating. The nerve to do something like this. It's funny how awful people can be. They really rely on other people's good nature and would use that trust in such a fashion. So selfish. I wonder sometimes how delusional people are. Do they honestly think that highly of themselves, that anyone with a shred of self-respect would want that? Same. I fully expect that to have happened. That whole behavior is incredibly weird. I'm certain that he is being trickle-truthed. Imagine the nerve to ask anything of someone that you were blatantly using for years. Seriously, no remorse from this person. She never loved OP. Above, someone linked a comment OP got in their first post about how he, OP, was only plan B for his wife. From what info OP has, it becomes clear that wife told her affair of being pregnant and gave him the chance of being a family with her and their baby, but he refused. That's why she decided to fool OP. I agree with that, but would add the following. With her actually still being in contact with that other guy and sending him updates about the girl though, it becomes clear that OP still is only plan B. If she had decided to fully commit to her lie, to permanently stay with OP and keep this family with him going, she would have made that lie her reality. She would try to avoid anything that could cause doubt on the paternity of the daughter. She would definitely not send updates about the child to someone that, to the public eye, has no connection with the kid and was not publicly in her or OP's life anymore. No, She is doing that as a means to keep the door open for her plan A, the other guy. She keeps informing him of the family that he could have, if only he said the word. OP was not the alternative option she chose after being rejected by her plan A. OP was the placeholder that gave her the life she wanted, to be switched out if the other guy ever became willing. And that's where I'm going to leave you guys today. I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, let me know what you thought about it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.